Have you ever imagined what your world would look like without any color? No bright green grass, no juicy red apples, no brilliant blue sky. Well, that is exactly what happened one very strange morning in the town of Huesville. Our hero was a little girl named Splatter. And let me tell you, her name was absolutely perfect. Wherever Splatter went, color followed. She wasn't messy on purpose, but her overalls were always covered in smudges of paint, her hands were often a rainbow, and her wonderful, creative ideas tended to spill out everywhere. She loved her town because it was the most colorful place you could ever imagine. The houses were painted like Easter eggs, the flowers glowed in neon shades, and even the mailboxes wore little hats of every color. But on this particular morning, Splatter woke up and rubbed her eyes. She thought she must still be dreaming. Because when she looked out her window, the world was gray. Not cloudy gray. No color at all gray. The bright yellow sun was a pale white circle. The lush green trees were dark shadows. The entire town looked like an old black and white photograph. Splatter gasped. Her heart started to beat very fast. She ran downstairs, her feet pattering on the wooden floor. Her parents were in the kitchen, looking very confused at their bowls of cereal. The milk was gray, the cereal was gray, even the usually bright red strawberries had lost all their joy. They all agreed something was terribly, terribly wrong. Splatter knew she had to do something. She was an expert on color, after all. So she put on her least messy pair of, well, gray, overalls and marched outside to investigate. Can you help Splatter look for clues? What do you think she might find? The first thing she noticed was a strange, shimmering path on the ground. It wasn't a footprint. It was more like a faint, silvery trail, as if a snail had crawled by but left a slick of dullness behind it. The trail led from her own garden, where her prized multicolored roses were now just sad gray shapes, right down the main street of town. Splatter decided to follow the trail. She passed Mr. Higgins, the baker, who was staring at his usually vibrant rainbow cupcakes that now looked like little lumps of charcoal. He was so upset he could barely speak. Splatter gave him a hopeful thumbs up and kept going. The shimmering trail led her all the way to the town square, and right up to the most colorful thing left in all of Huesville, the great, bubbling fountain of hues, which sprayed water of every color into the air. And there, sitting on the edge of the fountain, was the most peculiar creature Splatter had ever seen. It was small and furry, with big, droopy ears and a long trunk-like nose. And it was crying. Big, shiny tears rolled down its face and plopped into the fountain. But the strangest thing was what its trunk was doing. It was dipped into the fountain's pool, and as Splatter watched, a stream of bright blue color traveled up the creature's trunk. The water in the spot where its trunk had been immediately turned clear and dull. The creature was drinking the color. Splatter felt a surge of anger. This little monster was ruining everything. She was about to shout, to scare it away. But then she stopped. She looked closer. The creature wasn't greedy or mean. It looked heartbroken. Its whole little body shook with sobs. It wasn't stealing color to be nasty, it seemed so sad. What would you do if you saw someone who was so sad they were making a big mistake? Would you be angry, or would you try to help? Splatter took a deep breath. Instead of yelling, she took a small step forward. The creature flinched, its big, wet eyes wide with fear. It pulled its trunk from the water, and a little bit of blue color dripped from its nose. Splatter spoke in a very soft, gentle voice. She asked the creature why it was so sad. The creature sniffled. In a tiny, wobbly voice, it explained that it was a chroma-tickle. It came from a faraway land where everything was made of light and color. But it had gotten lost, and it was so very homesick. The only thing that made it feel a little bit better was to taste the colors of this world, because they reminded it of home. But the more homesick it felt, the more color it drank, until it couldn't stop. Splatter's anger melted away completely, replaced by a huge feeling of empathy. This wasn't a color thief, it was a lonely, lost little thing. She told the chroma-tickle that she understood, and that she was sorry it was lost. She even admitted that she sometimes felt a little lonely in her studio when a painting didn't turn out right. The chroma-tickle looked at her, surprised that anyone was being nice to it. It had been so afraid of being chased away. Splatter had an idea. She asked if there was another way to help it feel better, a way that didn't make the whole town gray. The chroma-tickle thought for a moment, then it perked up just a little. It explained that it didn't just drink color, it could also make color. But it needed happy, joyful feelings to do it. It had been too sad to make any of its own. Splatter grinned. That was something she could help with. She asked the chroma-tickle to wait right there. She ran back to Mr. the baker and explained everything. Soon, Mr. Higgins brought out his gray cupcakes. Splatter stood next to the chroma-tickle and told it her happiest memory, the time she won first prize at the art fair with a painting of her dog wearing a superhero cape. As she told the story, the chroma-tickle's trunk began to glow. It wiggled its nose over the tray of cupcakes, and a soft, shimmering dust fell from the tip of its trunk. And just like that, the cupcakes burst into color. They were even more vibrant than before. Word spread quickly. Soon, the whole town gathered in the square, each person sharing their happiest memory with the chroma-tickle. The gardener remembered her first sunflower. The firefighter remembered rescuing a kitten. With each happy story, the chroma-tickle glowed brighter. It would point its glowing trunk at a house, or a tree, or a patch of grass, and, poof, its brilliant color would return. The town was soon more colorful than ever before, filled with the joy of shared memories. The chroma-tickle wasn't sad anymore. It was surrounded by friends. And it promised only to use its color-making power from now on. Splatter learned that day that sometimes what looks like a big, scary problem is really just a small, sad heart in disguise. And the only way to fix it isn't with shouting or anger, but with a little bit of kindness and a whole lot of listening. And as for the chroma-tickle, well, it decided it wasn't so homesick anymore. It found a new home right next to Splatter's art studio, where it helps her mix the most incredible colors anyone has ever seen. But that's a story for another time. I wonder what colorful adventure they will have next. Moral: true understanding and kindness can fix problems that anger and fear cannot.